It would be really nice to have just honesty. And I think all brands should be able to have to explain to them if they've got 10 ingredients in their product, they should be able to have to explain to the consumer why all of those 10 are in there.
Welcome to the Things You Can't Unhear podcast. I'm your host, Maritza Barone. In this show, I will introduce you to ideas, concepts, and mindsets that will open your mind to a new world of well-being and personal life growth. Through eye-opening interviews, we elevate people in the world doing amazing things for humanity and share insights that will shift you to become the happiest, healthiest, kindest, and most compassionate version of you. Hello and welcome to another episode of Things You Can't Unhear. Thank you again for listening to the show. Now, today's episode is quite interesting because when I was first inspired to create this podcast, I'd been involved in a series of health-related interviews with professionals and experts in their field that uncovered a lot of industry secrets and also busted myths. One of the big interviews that stood out to me back then was about the skincare and cosmetic industries and how packaging and labels can be incredibly misleading and marketed in ways to have us believe they are natural and pure. So today I've invited Ross Macdougauld on the show to talk us through his background as an experienced industry chemist. After many years working on leading brands as a cosmetic chemist and formulating hundreds of products for large cosmetic companies, Ross became incredibly frustrated with the way these brands were misleading their consumers and not being honest about what was contained in their products. Now, Ross is on a mission to prove through science that natural and organic products not only work for the health of our skin, but are better than synthetic man-made chemicals. I recently was invited to MC one of Ross's events called Confessions of a Cosmetic Chemist that Ross and his wife Lucy are taking around the globe. Through these events, they are telling audiences the truth about what we are likely to find in most of our cosmetics and skincare, and how we can build awareness and knowledge for ourselves to be educated enough to filter through the marketing and find truth on the labels of our skincare products. So Ross, thank you for being on the show. Now, I've given you a bit of a wrap and an introduction on the podcast already, but firstly, I'd love you to tell us from your perspective about your background as a chemist. I mean, you've obviously had significant years working across many leading brands, and we'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, look, I've for 30 years I've worked in the cosmetic industry, and I've worked for many large multinationals and also Australian brands. I can't name the brands obviously for confidentiality reasons, but look, you know, the brands that you see in the Meccas and the Sephoras and Woolworths and Coles. So I've worked for all of those brands that you will see in there. The cosmetic industry is by whole developed on I guess promises and hope, and I use the word hope because that's what the brands are all trying to do, is try to, I guess, get you to hope that they actually work. Mm-hmm. We develop products that sound great, they look great, the packaging's great, they smell nice, but your skin doesn't care about how good they look or how well they smell or how they may look visually or the product looks visually. All your skin wants is something that actually is going to help it, nourish it, remove the toxins that it has in it and the damage that may have been caused to it. Unfortunately, none of the brands, no skincare brand really delivers products just for that purpose. And I've always found that quite compelling why that is the case, considering that the segment that they sell all their products is called skin care. The word care. So yeah, it's a interesting. The whole industry is created on products that truly don't work for skin care.
It's amazing because you're very frustrated by the whole industry, and that goes to show in a lot of the work that you're doing at the moment. And I recently
was an MC at one of your Confessions of a Cosmetic Chemist events, and you're literally touring around Australia and the world talking about this to audiences everywhere who are listening, because you're so frustrated by pretty much the lies that goes into our packaging. What frustrated you the most about what you would see behind the scenes and on labels? Is it the harm that it's doing to us, to our skin, or generally just the lies?
The frustrating thing for me is the misconception and the misinformation. Look, there are certain synthetic chemicals that are required in certain products to make them work. For example, surfactants that make things foam and cleanse your skin. They are required to do that and also wash your hair. But the many brands, and there's a stack of brands, and mostly those all sit in the organic, natural, vegan sector, that say all of the surfactants are derived from corn, coconut, palm, and all of that. Okay, sure, the raw material may have come from there, but they've been synthetically produced. And I guess the frustrating thing for me is that they use the term naturally derived, and naturally derived means synthetic. I mean, if we use naturally derived terminology in the way many of the natural brands do, then plastic is actually naturally derived. If you actually look at the process. So the frustrating thing for me is that what we need is, instead of the brands controlling the consumer on what they want and how they deliver it, if we were honest and put on the packaging or exactly what the ingredients are, where they're from and how they're made, synthetically or not, and leave it up to the consumer to decide what they think is best for them, and you would see a massive turnaround.
Do you think
I'm sure that
do you think we would end up buying what the products we're currently buying if we had the truth on the labels?
No, I would doubt very much. I mean, if given the choice, and I can only go from my point of view, like if given the choice, if I wanted to use something that's going to be beneficial to my skin, or buy something that has known irritants and is going to cause sensitization to my skin, I know which one I'm going to be choosing. It's like food. Like, we're not going to eat junk food. If we've got a choice between fresh, wholesome food and junk food that we know is not good for us, most of us will choose the fresh food. Okay, sure, some people will go with the junk food, and that's their choice, but it's their choice. In the cosmetic industry, we do not give people their choice. We tell them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, what are the laws? Where's the regulation bodies that enforces labeling to be truthful? How does it work in this industry?
There is no regulation. That's the problem. You can say that our product, reduces wrinkles and fine lines, and you don't actually have any data to prove that. You can just say it on your label and away you go. Like naturally derived, is a word that everyone uses, but most people believe naturally derived means it's a natural compound. It's not actually, it's synthetic. Yeah.
So are you saying there's very little monitoring in the industry with regulation?
No, there's none. No, there's none. As long as you have your ingredients written on the back of your label, you're basically right. As long as you don't make any therapeutic claims, because then you run the risk of having the Therapeutic Goods Administration here in Australia come after you for making a claim that, a therapeutic claim. So a lot of people use these wishy-washy claims, like anti-wrinkle and anti-aging and all that is not a therapeutic claim. So everyone claims that. Like I get frustrated with many brands saying they're vegan. Well, vegan means there's no animal products. They can have synthetic chemicals and everything else. Most vegan people don't want synthetic chemicals on their face.
That's right.
But using the word vegan pretends that, they're natural and clean. They're not. So there's so much misrepresentation out there.
Has anyone, well, I'm sure they have, but challenged regulation bodies and trying to get this more monitored across the industry?
No, because everyone does it. So, no one wants to change it, because then the problem is that you blow the whistle, then everyone will look at you first. The reason why I can do it is because I can sleep at night because the brand that I've developed is all it has is a plant extract in it, and that's it. Sure, it has a synthetic preservative in it called sodium benzoate, but I call it out. I talk about it. I'm quite open about it. It's that's all we want. I just want to have the conversation that let's talk about the ingredients in your skincare, and if they're good, bad, or indifferent. I'm more annoyed with the brands that sit in the natural organic sector because they pretend, or they have a persona that they are, being heroes for someone's skin to get rid of chemicals, but all of them contain chemicals. Water's a chemical. But what I'm saying is that instead of having a synthetic fragrance in their products, they'll use essential oils. Now, essential oils are as bad or even worse than fragrances in terms of having sensitizers in them. Now, the crazy thing is that the Fragrance Association, or in short terms, IFRA, actually, which is a worldwide organization, has already stated there's a number of essential oils that contain sensitizers. And you cannot use them in some, especially in Europe, you can't use some essential oils because they're so sensitizing.
So what are sensitizers for those who don't know the technical term?
They will cause irritancy to your skin over a prolonged period of time or short period of time. Essential oils are just concentrates of I guess, the volatile components of plants. Most volatile components to plants come from the flowers and the leaves. And, a classic example is lavender oil. Now, lavender oil is, distilled from the leaves and the flowers of the lavender. But the crazy thing is that I'm sure no one realizes it, but about 50% of lavender, 50 to 60% lavender is sensitized. It has sensitizing materials in it, even though it's sold as a calming, sensitive essential oil. It contains 50 to 60% sensitizers in it, which is not good for your skin. And prolonged use of it will cause sensitization. And that's the reason why there's guidelines now involved, but no one knows about them.
So when we're using essential oils, because I've got many essential oils in my house that we use in an aromatherapy sense, is that still the same issue? Is aromatherapy better than actually applying it to our skin when it comes to essential oils?
Yeah, aromatherapy is fine. Look, aromatherapy is fine, and that's why that's where essential oils were first used in aromatherapy use, because it does the sensory of the smelling them is relaxing, or is it invigorating, or it's cleansing. But we've just taken that to another level and started applying them to our skin, and that's not good for us. Not everything in nature is good for us. I mean, arsenic and chlorine are both natural chemicals, but you come in contact with those and they'll kill you. So we've got to look at everything. And I'm not on a crusade against synthetics. I'm just on a crusade of just delivering the nutrients or the things that our skin needs and nothing else. Because if we do that, we can really get our skin back to a state where it's back to its normal state. And applying copious quantities of different types of makeups is not the answer.
When we look at the oils in our products, the essential oils, are they including them in these products for a scent to sort of cover up any other chemical smell that might be in the products? Why are we putting these essential oils in our products?
Yeah, basically just to replace the fragrance. So yeah, they're in there for odor profile. There is no need. There is no rhyme or reason. Essential oils do nothing to the health of skin. So it's in there as a fragrance.
What would these products smell like if they didn't have these essential oils in them, in your opinion?
Depending on the product. If you're looking at like a cleanser or a shampoo, they would smell very chemically because surfactants have a particular odor to it. Creams have I don't know. It's not a very pleasant smell, and so I understand why they've created that things have to have a smell to them, because it's it is to cover the smells of the chemicals. But you got to understand that skincare or skin doesn't need a fragrance or an odor to benefit from something. We've got to get away from what our mind thinks our skin wants to what our skin wants, or needs. It's like a great example is your kid or your child may want McDonald's every day, but you need to feed your kid or children nutrient-rich foods. So, do you know what I mean? Like if you convert that into like McDonald's is your skincare brand, and your nutrient foods is actually what your skin needs.
It's interesting. Interesting looking at it in that perspective. But I mean, there's a lot of fear around this, and I don't want to invoke a fear in a lot of our listeners, but I do want to empower people out there to, broaden their knowledge and pick up products and be aware of what's in the package, what's inside the packaging, I should say. So can you help us with, in layman's terms, because it's hard for us who don't have the scientific and chemical background to really break down what is labeled on these packages. It's all so incredibly scientific that even if you think it's hard to sort of break it down and be completely aware. I've got new packaging of products that I was given recently, and I really do not know whether it is safe to use it on my skin or not, because I'm not a scientist. I can't understand what is written on this packaging. So
sure,
I'd love to get your insight on that.
Okay, so if you see like for example, and I can't cover every brand and every skincare brand, but look, most brands will have a word called glycol, Glycol, glycol. Now they may have ethylene, propylene, hexylene. There's all different types of glycols. They are now also changing the naming of that to propanediol. Now all of those things are petroleum-based synthetic chemicals. They are put into skincare to give it a nice film effect on your skin. They don't allow the skin to breathe, and they're dangerous because, not toxicity-wise, but they stop the skin from breathing and will cause irritation over a prolonged period of time. I mean, a lot of these things are not toxic to us, but they just cause problems to the skin in terms of, your skin needs to breathe and it needs to be nurtured. None of these things will do that. So glycols is one. Silicons is another. Now, silicons do basically the same job as glycols. Silicons also come from the petrochemical industry, and you may see them as silicones. You may see them as acrylates. What else is the other names? Yeah, like anything that, look, I always think you see something on the back of a label that you can't read is usually because it's a chemical. You can always copy that word and type it into Google, and which will give you an understanding. The other things that they also use is emulsifiers. Now, emulsifiers, in layman's terms, is something that binds a water-soluble molecule with an oil-soluble molecule, so you get a homogeneous product. But all emulsifiers are synthetic. So you may see the words cetyl alcohol, stearyl alcohol, stearic acid. These are all emulsifiers, and people will say these are all they're plant derived. They may have come from a plant, but they're all synthetically altered to produce these emulsifiers, because plants don't produce emulsifiers. So you'll see all of these other things, and usually all the synthetics are sitting straight after the main ingredient, which is water or aqua, and then you'll see most of the synthetics sitting after that. The hero ingredients that the brand may be pushing as the active usually sit right down the bottom, and when you look at the back of a label of a product, it goes from the highest percentage to the lowest percentage. So you'll always see water at the top, because usually most products contain between 70 and 80% water, and then from that down to your actives, which sit in sit in a product between, well, less than 2%, and then down there with the preservatives.
So what are the things that we should be looking for on our labels? You've just outlined some things that we should be sort of wary of. What things should we be looking for inclusion of?
Oh, that's a good question. So well, the way most products are developed in a formula, and I'll get to your answer in a second, but I need to explain, because we like to create products into a cream or a gel or a lotion. We use a lot of emulsifiers, as I've just explained. Now, emulsifiers are really good at what they do. They like binding everything up so it looks homogeneous. The problem is when you apply that homogeneous cream to your skin, which has got the synthetics and all the actives, it's so good at binding everything together, it never allows the actives to get away from it. So it basically sits on the top of your skin, and has no chance of getting away. So most actives inside a cream-based, lotion-based, gel-based never have the opportunity of actually getting and fixing or doing any activity to the skin. And then those actives, if they do, are counteracted by the synthetics that are also in the product, because they're also, like you've got one thing doing good for your skin, the other one that's irritating the skin. So you've got that counter, I guess it's like, it's counterproductive.
I understand. So we need that penetration into the skin.
Yeah. So what people should be looking for is, I guess, simplistic formulas, or, I know there's a lot of people out there says, you need more of everything, but no, it's the other way around. I mean, our bodies have evolved with plants, and that's the key thing that I've always tried to say, that we've evolved with plants. So plant nutrients are an exceptionally important part of our well-being, internally, externally, the whole thing. And so what we need is plant nutrients, not much else. Obviously, we also have evolved with animals as well, consuming animals. So there's a number of nutrients from animals that we also need.
So generally, if we see a cocktail of different chemical titles on our packaging, that's pretty much a big warning sign to sort of rethink it or do some more research. And the less is more, is what you're saying. And that makes complete sense, because once you start mixing things together, I suppose that's where the harm can happen.
Yep. Yes, definitely. And it's just. Look, if you think about things logically, you can come to some understanding about, we are bombarded with complexities, and we need to just bring it back a few levels. It's like, the human race has evolved to what it is now, and we never had any of these chemicals in our lives 50, 60, 100 years ago. But like the crazy thing is that the human race, as I'm sure that everyone, all your listeners will probably think, that the human race is getting smarter, stronger, fitter, taller, and we're living longer. Well, in the last 50 years, all of those things have actually gone backwards, because we're doing more damage to our bodies, because we are eating poorly, our diet's poor, we're drinking more, we're smoking, doing synthetic drugs. All of those things create problems in our cellular structures and our genomes and DNA, and that's the reason why all of those things are going backwards.
It's crazy. I want to I want to go further down the aisles and pick up some products in particular, metaphorically.
Sure.
And let's look at sunblock, for example, because I always have a bit of a love-hate with sunblock, because I never know what I'm putting on my skin or my kids' skin, for example, is packed with something that's going to protect them, or something's going to ultimately harm them and harm their skin. And, the labeling of sunblock sometimes really scares me. So I've lent towards more organic brands when it comes to sunblock. What's your take on this? And do you have any brands in particular that would probably be best for us to pick up off the shelves?
Sure. Look, the difficult thing with sunblocks is that there is definitely a place in our lives for them, because the alternative is getting burnt, and and the worst is getting skin cancer.
Yeah.
And so we don't want that. But the problem is that some of the sunblocks which use chemical UVA and UVB absorbers are chemicals and will be absorbed into your skin as well. And the jury's out on those. We're not quite sure if they're going to cause cancer as well. So you've got the problem of, if we don't use any organic, we could cause trouble, and if we use this could cause trouble as well. So I think the lesser of evils is there is brands out there that use zinc and titanium dioxide as UV. They reflect. They're more a reflective product, so they reflect back the sun. And they may not look the nicest on your skin. They may leave a white film on your skin. Well, the reason why there's a white film on your skin is because it's a reflective. So,
and it creates a barrier, I suppose. It's not absorbed,
so,
it's a barrier. Yeah.
Me personally, I do not use a sunscreen. I measure myself in the terms of how much sun I get, because one of the biggest problems we now face is we're all very vitamin D deficient. And the only way we can get D is by the conversion of sunlight through our skin. You can't take supplements, they don't work, and there's no D in food. So we have to convert sunlight into vitamin D through absorption of UV rays through our skin out in the open. So, I guess what we need to be is just to be more mindful of what we do every day. Just, we need to get out in the sun for 10, 15 minutes every day. Probably in the morning and in the afternoon without any UV blockers, so we can get a bit more vitamin D into our system. But maybe during the day, or try and avoid going out in the sun in the middle of the day.
Or perhaps wear cover-up clothing and hats and sit in the shade.
Think about it logically, because it is, it's lifestyle choices. I know that everyone can't do what I've just said. So then go and choose a zinc or a titanium dioxide sunblock and put it on. So, and hats and all that. So
sun protection in other ways as well, not just slathering on the sunblock. It makes complete sense.
And just remember, lack of vitamin D in your body is not good for you. It does impact on your life. So it's, you've got to be wary of that too.
Well, speaking of vitamins, you do have some information on vitamin C that you talk about quite a lot in your profile here. I'm looking at your Instagram right now, and you've gone on a little rant about vitamin C, and I'd love to know. I'd love you to share that with our listeners and what your take is on the supplements that we are eating and using as vitamin C.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I think I did a 6-segment rant on it on Instagram, and I think the last one came out yesterday. Okay, so vitamin C in a fruit is a carbohydrate, and it's an exceptionally unstable molecule. Once you pull it out of a fruit, it'll break down very rapidly within 10 to 15 seconds to its stable, unactive form, which is called ascorbic acid. Now, one thing I just want to make sure to all your listeners is that ascorbic acid is not vitamin C. It is basically the dead version of vitamin C, ascorbic acid. Now, every single brand in the cosmetic industry and supplements industry, food industry, all use ascorbic acid. No one uses vitamin C because it is too unstable to pull out of fruit or to manufacture synthetically. So That's it, full stop.
So
There's no
what's the
such thing as
nutritional value of ascorbic acid?
ascorbic acid has no antioxidant potential. So it's not going to do any free scavenging, and it's not going to help you one iota in the antioxidant stakes. And that is what vitamin C does.
So in your opinion, we're wasting our time having vitamin C supplements?
Correct. Totally. Go and eat an orange, go and eat blueberries, go and eat green leafy vegetables if you want vitamin C.
Interesting. Well, you aren't just a problem person. You're actually a solution focused person, because you've in your frustration, you've pioneered different ways in which we can extract vitamin. Tell us about that.
So after many years, I decided then to create extraction equipment or an extraction technique that was able to pull the nutrients out, but also take across with it the liquid matrix the plant produces. So then the nutrients that we have are protected. So they're out of the fruit, and they're now in their liquid matrix. And that's basically the extraction technique and the extraction technology that we've developed. And that all of that science is now packed into the skincare brand that we've developed called Biology. It's funny, I was talking to someone last week about biology, and they said, so why did you develop biology? And I said, biology basically is a massive clinical trial. To be honest with you, it is basically proving that the science behind our extraction technique and our work actually works in the common, in human race, in households. And the results that we get from biology with people which have got major dermatological problems, sensitization problems, is amazing. People have, really bad eczema problems, psoriasis problems, a lot of dermatological problems that all get amazing results, and the reduction of those skin problems within 24 to 48 hours. It's quite amazing. And all we're doing is delivering nutrients.
So for those who don't know, you've launched a brand called Biology, and it is a plant extraction method that is used in your products.
And we haven't done anything new. All we've done is just gone back and studied how plants interact with themselves, but also how they interact with the human body. The interesting thing is that the cellular structure of humans compared to plants is very similar, and the way that plants absorb and use their nutrients is very similar to the way we do it. So there's a lot of correlations between human cells and plant cells, and the nutrients within plant cells are also the ones that we need as well. And so, it just became very simplistic to us to be able to say, well, we just need these. And biology is a great way of showing that is all we need. It may not be very fancy. It may not be, it has no smells to it. It's only got one ingredient. But the ingredient has many phytonutrients in it. It may not look like a cream, gel, or lotion. It may not be in fancy packaging. But the one thing that we do have that no one else can have is how it works. And ours, and that's it.
What is the main ingredient, Ross?
Okay, so we have a number of products, but the main ingredient is just a single plant extract. So, for example, the Biology BK is Kakadu plum, the Biology BD is Davidson plum, and the Biology BF is finger lime. We also have just launched a new lip serum called Biology BL, and that's got red finger lime in it. And we choose those nutrients, or we choose these extracts, because one thing is that we choose the nutrients for the particular application. So there's certain nutrients in these serums that are very good for the application we're wanting to do. And the other thing is that all the extracts contain multiple phytonutrients. And what we've found is when you extract a certain plant material, you get multiple phytonutrients. But the reason why all those phytonutrients are together is because they're quite synergistic together. Because plants over time have created nutrients that actually help each other do the work. which is, fairly logical when you think about it.
Mm.
We then started blending our extracts to, get a multi-purpose product. But the problem was we started seeing that nutrients from different plant species or different, chemotypes actually attack other nutrients from other plants, and they actually, basically wipe them out. So vitamin C is a classic example. I never forget blending the Biology BD serum with the BK serum so we could have a multi-purpose product, and we wiped all the vitamin C out. So look, we've done so much science and a lot of work here, so we understand that you can only deliver certain nutrients, and then you have to wait a little bit and then deliver the next nutrients. And that's the most efficient, effective way of getting good results.
So what are the percentage of extracts in your products?
100%.
100%.
That's it. Yep. There's no water. There's nothing in them except for the pure. And the best way to describe it is what we're extracting is not extracting the juice. What we're extracting is, when you peel a mandarin and you've got that white pith on the outside.
Yeah.
And when you peel a piece of fruit, you'll see a lot of white pith on the inside of the peel. That is where all the nutrients sit, and that's where we pull all the nutrients out of. So we're not actually pulling nutrients out of cells of the plant, because if you actually pull nutrients out of the cells, you destroy the cellular structure of the plant, and the nutrients would also die. So we're actually extracting I guess you would say the blood of the fruit or the vegetable that we extract.
So what's the shelf life situation of such a natural product?
Okay, well, we have to use this because it's a water-soluble product. It will attract bacteria and stuff like that. So we have to use a preservative because, we looked at a number of preservatives, and we ended up using sodium benzoate. Sodium benzoate, once you put it into a liquid matrix or water-soluble matrix, converts to benzoic acid. Now, benzoic acid is actually a natural forming active material, which you find in a lot of berries. So we thought that was the best solution. Sure, the sodium benzoate used is synthetic. I'm not going to hide that fact, but we need to use some type of preservative. And at the present moment, there is no such thing as a natural preservative. You may find brands that saying that they do, but I can rest assured, if there was a true natural preservative, every other brand in the world would be using it, but no one really does. And so we just open and honest and say, yep, we use 0.2% sodium benzoate. It's in there to preserve the product. I mean, you can either put that onto your skin or you can put bacteria and fungus, because that's what's going to be in there if we didn't use it.
So that's 0.2% that you have in your products, right? Okay, that's good to know. How do you feel when we look at things like anti-aging? There's so many products out there that promise miracles. What is your product doing for anti-aging?
Well, anti-aging is it's a complex.
It is a big complex topic, and I'd like to sort of delve into Botox and fillers and get your take on that too, because a lot of people are obviously using these things as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, anti-aging is a systematic thing of us getting older, and our cellular structures becoming sluggish. I don't know if it's inbuilt into our cellular structures that our elasticity and our collagen in our skins becomes less, but there is obviously scientific proof that that's the case. Now, is that the case because of poor diet and poor health, or is that the case of our genomes and our DNA self-destructing? So I'm not quite sure. But the best way to probably, to have healthy skin, and if we're just talking about skin in general, we need to protect and look after it. If you do gym every day, you're going to have a healthier lifestyle than someone who doesn't do gym and eats donuts all day, for example. So, staying out of direct sunlight is a good way of, because you do get UV damage. So to answer your question into anti-aging, obviously lifestyle choices is probably the number one, and making sure that you've got a good healthy diet, and that you're looking after your skin, keeping yourself well hydrated, and delivering. And the key thing here, what I need to get across to people is that, for example, you can't, people will say to you, look, you need more collagen in your skin, so why don't you eat the powdered collagen? Well, that type of logic is like saying, if you had fingernails, you had poor growth of fingernails and toenails, why don't you go and eat somebody else's fingernails and toenails to get stronger? I mean, that's stupid, but that's the type of logic we're thinking there. And just remember, collagen is a living organic tissue, and it's made up of many factors: proteins, amino acids, vitamin C's in there. There's also a whole heap of other phytonutrients that create collagen. Now, collagen is a living organism, so if you take it out of an animal, it's going to die and break down. And what it breaks down to is amino acids. So basically, collagen powder is amino acids. There's no such thing. Plants don't produce collagen. So if someone says to you it's a vegan alternative collagen, I'm not quite sure what the hell that is. So to come back to you say what the best thing for anti-aging is, we need to feed our skin the nutrients it requires for it to function at its best. So we need to feed the nutrients that will build the collagen, the elastin, the proteins in our skin, the epidermis, and so it has the best chance of creating its best form of itself. It's like basically eating raw foods, but it's raw foods for the skin, and that's all your skin needs. We also need to deliver oil-soluble nutrients, so you need to be delivering like oils that are high in alpha-linoleic and linoleic acid, because they're the two acids that are in our skin. So we understand that. That's the reason why in biology we deliver just pure plant nutrients in the water-soluble range, and that's also the reason why we offer the oil one called BR, which is just pure rosehip oil. It's a particular type of rosehip oil that we produce under license that has a stack of vitamin A in it and a stack of vitamin E in it, along with the two major fatty acids, which I've just mentioned, alpha-linoleic and linoleic acids.
Interesting.
So it is.
What is your take on cosmetic injectables, including Botox and fillers and those type of products? Are you feeling as though they're quite harmful to our skin in the long term?
Well, I think Botox isn't great. I think I worry about people's self-esteem and the way people perceive themselves. I always worry about that. I'm not a like, people need to love themselves for who they are and not what they want to be. And there's so much social media pressure and things like that. Botox, we're putting a poison into ourselves. Like, wow, that's got to cause damage somewhere. Injectables, hyaluronic acid, we do produce that in our skin, and we do inject it into ourselves. The hyaluronic acid we do put into our skin is a different type of molecule to the one that we produce in our skin, and it's a very large molecular product, and it does attract water in our skin as long as you inject it into the skin. It does dissipate after a while because it just acts like an acid. When water touches the acid, it deassociates it and turns it into its base. So after a while, the hyaluronic acid will actually be gone. The damage to that, I don't know. I haven't done my work on it. But look, everybody wants to look their best. And I think we live in a society that they want instant gratification. So I don't think we're going to stop everyone from using these injectables. And I don't do it personally, and I wouldn't do it. But I would never, rouse on anyone who does, because
the jury's out on this one, hey?
Yeah, exactly. Look, and you can't stop people from, look, I eat junk food sometimes, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to, preach to, everyone should be allowed. And that's the reason why I said at the start of all of this, that I just want people to be better educated or to better understand. So they've got choices to choose what they want to do.
Well, that's actually a great lead into my final question is, what are your biggest hopes for the industry going forward?
Honesty. It would be really nice to have just honesty, and why. And I think all brands should be able to have to explain to them, if they've got 10 ingredients in their product, they should be able to have to explain to the consumer why all of those 10 are in there. What benefits are they for the application they're designed for? Like, my big thing is that if that ingredient is in there to create a cream and there's no benefit for the skin, so why is it in there? Why is it in there? Like, we should only be delivering things to people's skin that are going to benefit the skin. And that's the reason why biology only has one ingredient, because that one ingredient has multiple nutrients in it, and that's all your skin needs. So, honesty and integrity.
It really is
like,
taking it all back to basics again. I mean, we've had nutritionists on this show, we've had naturopaths on this show, we've had fertility specialists on this show, and everyone has a very similar message of just taking it back to basics. And I'm pretty sure loud and clear that's what you're trying to scream from the rooftops as well.
Yeah. And it's, it's tough in this industry because, a lot of people with a lot of brands dislike me, and I don't understand why. It's if they've got nothing to hide, they've got nothing, then they should be joining me. They've developed skincare brands to help people. Now, and I always come back to the two words, skin care. That word care means a lot. If we've just designed a skin regime to make money, that isn't skincare.
That's skin cream.
Yeah. Or skin cash, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the profits. The profits before the people that you're saying is hurting the industry. Yeah.
And these so-called experts. There's very few of me in the world. The type of experience and knowledge. And I just think that, and that's what we all lack. A lot of people lack the know-how, and that's what I'm trying to disseminate here, is just a bit of information just to help people. I'm not here to push biology. I'm here to just give people an open mind on what they want, and if they want to buy biology and it works for them, isn't that great?
You're certainly not afraid to speak up and let people know what you're thinking, and I suppose it puts you a lot in the firing line in the industry.
Oh yeah. But the funny thing is that there's always underhanded people that go about doing things to me in a very underhanded way that I can never find out who it is, and that's, to me, I find it gutless, and because no one can really stand up to it, because I'm open and honest. I have no hidden things under rocks. You can pull apart my brand because it's only got one ingredient. So we're a fairly open, very transparent brand, and I just wish everyone else was like that. And look, you've got to understand, the industry has only been able to offer what it could offer in terms of ingredients, because before we came up with this extraction technique and how to pull nutrients out in their stable format, there was no way of offering that before. And so the only best way was to do it was to put synthetic ascorbic acid in our skincare, synthetic, vitamin A, or they call it retinol, and things like that, and then think that that was going to work. So yeah, it is. Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Lots of food for thought there, and I think a lot of us will be checking our labels and our product packaging a lot more carefully, and really keeping it to basics and making sure there's minimum amounts of chemicals in there wherever we can. So thank you so much for talking up and sharing your knowledge and your expertise on this, Ross. I'm Maritza Barone. Thank you for listening to the Things You Can't Unhear podcast. I'd love to keep the conversation going. Let us know what you thought of this episode, and if something really profound came up for you that you want to share, let's talk about it. You can find me on Instagram at Things You Can't Unhear, or on my personal page at Maritza_Barone. And if someone you know will benefit from something that was said in this show, make sure you share it with them too. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and keep up to date with what's next. And if you can spare a few seconds, please rate and review the show on iTunes, just so other people can find us more easily and quickly. And as always, my friends, be happy, be healthy, be conscious, and be kind.